When they officially announced that The Last of Us was becoming a TV show on HBO, I immediately decided that I was going to accept nothing but perfection. And that's because I absolutely love the games. The Last of Us Part 2, the DLC that came with Part 1. I absolutely love those games. They are masterpieces in storytelling. And graphically, they fucking amazing. Everything about the games is amazing. So the show had to be amazing. So I'm going to do something I haven't done in a while with a TV review, in that I'm going to go over kind of episode by episode, because there's just so much to fucking discuss. Right off the bat, episode 1, we get a little bit more backstory than we get from the games, which I thought was absolutely perfect, because there are a few little missing pieces here and there from the games. Like, we don't know how the cordyceps fungus really got going. We don't know why it took hold of everybody when it's only a disease, or it's a fungus that only really affects the insect kingdom and it doesn't affect humans. And the first episode was also more like character intro and development, more than the game itself, which for a TV show or movie is very, very important. For a game, it's not that necessarily important, because we're already going to spend a lot of time with the main character playing the game. So we learn about this character throughout the game. In a TV show or a movie, we need to know this shit right away, because we're only going to spend, a movie 2 hours, or a show at most 6 hours across like 6 episodes, or if it's something on the CW, it's like 1 million episodes and it's ridiculous. So I thought that was absolutely perfect. And one thing that was just as absolutely heartbreaking as the game, it was the death of Joel's daughter. Oh my god, even though I knew it was going to happen, it was still fucking heart-shattering. The second episode, we kind of get into the journey itself. We meet clickers for the first time, which are done absolutely perfectly. Everything about it, the makeup, the movements, the clicking, everything was perfect. They just got the monster right. And one thing they changed from the games. In the games, it's spores that are just kind of congregating, and if you breathe them in, you get infected. Here they changed it, because in the real world, spores don't really congregate. They eventually dissipate. So they changed it to tendrils that infect you. Basically, the bite, which also infects you in the game, but the tendrils can also infect you without actually biting you, because it's just like out of the infected's mouth, and boom, you're infected. In the games, Tess is bitten, and her last stand is against soldiers to buy Ellie and Joel time to get away. In the show, they changed it up. It's not soldiers, it's a massive group of infected. And it is just as impactful. Episode 3, we met Bill, who is a character in the game. We only get a couple of scenes with him. In the show, he is played by Nick Offerman, and oh my god, he kills it. Now, in the game, Frank is only referenced. We do not meet Frank. Frank is already dead. So, actually getting to see Frank and his origin, and more of Bill's origin as well, was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And just the acting in general in episode 3 was just so amazing. I personally think it is the masterpiece of the season. If I do have any disappointment, it's that we didn't get to see Ellie and Bill interact, because in the game, it's fucking awesome. In episode 4 and 5, we meet a group that is from the game, though they're not really fleshed out in the game. They're just an obstacle for Ellie and Joel. In the show, they are fleshed out more, especially with Melanie Linsky being the leader of the group, and she's just fucking great in these 2 episodes. And like, I fucking hated her, and I wanted her to die really badly. And her ultimate fate was just so satisfying. We also meet Henry and Sam, who big characters in the game. Sam is now deaf. He's not deaf in the game, but that kind of adds a lot more layers to the character. One of the absolute saddest scenes in the game is the fate of Henry and Sam. And even though I knew what was going to happen, it's still fucking depressing what happened to them. And to see it played out in the show was just done perfectly. Also in that arc of those 2 episodes, we meet a bloater for the first time, as well as just the fucking like colony of infected coming up from the ground. And it was one of the absolute coolest sequences ever. Episode 6, we see the bond between Joel and Ellie kind of deepening and becoming more meaningful. And we're also introduced to Tommy and his community, and I thought it was portrayed very well. And the go with Tommy scene that's shown on the show, it's practically word for word from the game, which was a good choice because it was fucking perfect in the game. Episode 7 was the DLC from the first game with Ellie and Riley, and a lot of people bitched and moaned about this episode, calling it woke, but shut the fuck up, man. Really? Their mall adventure, the origin of Ellie's bite, I thought it was portrayed amazing. And we get a little Easter egg from The Last of Us Part 2 in Aha's Take On Me, which plays a part in Part 2. So to see it kind of featured in an episode in Season 1 of the show, I thought was cool. In Episode 8, we are introduced to David, who is a cult leader and who are very into cannibalism. His group doesn't know they're eating people, but yeah. And in the game, like, we get a lot of subtext and hints that this guy might be like a fucking pedophile, but in the show, full-on pedophile, man. I mean, just, they do not mince words. And the game of cat and mouse in the burning restaurant, nerve-wracking in the game, portrayed great in the show. And the final episode of the season, 9 episodes, seems kind of weird, but okay. But we are introduced to Ellie's birth mother and the explanation as to why she is immune, which we do not get in the games. So it's kind of nice to get that. But also in episode 9, we get the giraffe, which is a cool scene in the game. It is such a cool scene, and I'm really glad they brought it to life in the show. And when they make it to the hospital, the entire sequence of Joel mowing down the soldiers, killing the doctor, which is the catalyst for The Last of Us Part 2, it's an emotional moment. It's an emotional sequence of just him going through this whole thing just to save one person, which is going to doom humanity. But that's the emotional connection he made with Ellie throughout their journey, and it was shown amazingly. And the season ends exactly how the first game ends, in that Ellie asks Joel if he's telling the truth about the Fireflies. He says yes. She says okay. Cut to black. At the end of the day, to put simply, The Last of Us is amazing. We get quite a few of the OG actors, like Merle Dandridge, who actually plays herself from the game, Marlene. That was pretty awesome. Like, I did not expect that. But the original Tommy, Jeffrey Pierce, he plays a soldier in the group we meet in episodes 4 and 5. The original Joel, Troy Baker, plays James in episode 8. And Ashley Johnson, the original Ellie, she plays Ellie's mother in the final episode. And it was just so great to see all of them be included in the show. But we cannot forget Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, who ultimately the perfect casting, especially Bella Ramsey. She embodied Ellie. She was Ellie. She was just absolutely amazing. Pedro Pascal he's been everywhere the last couple of years thanks to The Mandalorian, and he's just, like, I don't even know if I could put the words how perfect he was as Joel. The acting in general is amazing. The cinematography is perfection. The storytelling, you know, with the added extras from that aren't in the game, it just makes it even better. And the visuals, the effects, just glorious, absolutely glorious. I am so glad they did right by this game. This is the first time ever that they did right by a game. And I know I kind of rambled on, and this is definitely the longest review I've ever done, so if you've made it this far, I thank you for watching. I give The Last of Us Season 1 a big fucking A+. Did you enjoy the review? Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to get notified when more reviews go live. Feel free to leave a comment to discuss your thoughts on the movie or show, and I will see you next time.